All right, everybody. Tonight was round two, 11/11 of November. It just passed 11/11 as well. Oh well, I'm not superstitious. Didn't make a wish. I'm playing as the White Pieces against Severin König. Really nice dude from Germany. I have a close German friend, and it's funny. I commented to him. Anytime I tell a German, of which I've met many, I say, "Oh, I've got a really good friend from Heidelberg." They all say, "Ah, Heidelberg! It is a good university city." And I said, yeah, that's where he lives. Anyway, Severin couldn't have been any nicer, and honestly, I think it was a pretty good game. So I'm excited to show it to all of you today. As a little bit of a precursor, his relative rating right now is 1901. So to say he's the best player I've played yet is an understatement, at least by rank or rating. He has a high FIDE rating, although he's in provisional for USCF. I think that this is a fair approximation. I think his FIDE is around 1800, and normally FIDE ratings are about 100 points higher than USCF, roughly. I don't think it's perfect one-to-one, but that's a good starting point. Anyway, he told me he played the Boston Open, and he didn't actually do that well in the Open section. He said, he's telling me a little bit about his games. He only managed 1 point out of 4. So he was like, and all right, this is gonna be my German accent. But speaking of which, by the way, above the table, my sister lives in Vienna. I have had been learning German. I wasn't about to speak German with him because my German's not that good. Obviously, I have the speaking skills of a 4-year-old for the record. But he's like, yes. Well, the Boston University Open was not very good to me. He didn't sound like he's just a nice guy. I had fun with him. It was a good game. So, but that's kind of the German voice going through my head. I could go on. I could do my voice a little bit more, but I won't. Nevertheless, he showed up with a few of his friends. He's playing this month. He told me that he's in a PhD program. So he wasn't able to get away last week, but he should be probably a regular this semester. Maybe I'll play him again. Maybe he'll be bumping up to the Open section. We'll have to find out. Nonetheless, I knew that I was going to have my work cut out for me. I knew that he was going to be a real challenge, and I decided rather than shell up. So far, what I've played, people that I think that I know are like better than me. And again, we'll see where I end up. I did finish my provisionals. Again, my rating is right around 1500. It's like 1550 right now or so. Again, based on like the chess.com translations, I probably should be a little bit higher than that. But I also know that I'm aspiring to be at one point, 1800 or so, and I know I'm not there yet. Because I've played enough 1700s people, and although I've put up a fight, and I've beaten a couple of them actually. At this point, I have 2 wins against people who are 1700 rated or higher. But my overall record obviously is quite poor. So I decided rather than shell up, I was actually going to be aggressive, and I was going to really play for the win and see what happened. And so I had studied. I've really been pushing the Catalan, sort of the open structure, and the reason why I'm pushing it is I think my strength is this positional play as far as the long-term ideals. And people are not playing the Queen's Gambit Accepted, which is what I prefer rather than Queen Gambit's Declined. So far, literally every single game, I think I was mini raging that not a single person has played the QGA. So with the Catalan, I can just dangle the C pawn and kind of force them to take it and kind of get into a more Gambit structure. And the reason why is I want to have more of these open systems where I can still play the positional ideas, but translate that to a very material game. I think that's my strength. It's the kind of game I enjoy, and so I'm kind of forcing it. For the record, Catalan is not as good against knight f6. It's better against d5. Nevertheless, I played knight f3 rather than just going immediately for c4, trying to induce d5 to kind of transpose from move 2. Thankfully, Severin does it. Sev, I'm just going to call him Sev, that's what his friends called him. Hopefully I can call him Sev too. And so we're going to get, a spot exactly as I want it, where now I can play c4, and we've transposed from like a d4, d5 line, which is what I wanted, rather than like, again, just, a classic King's Indian, which I didn't really want to play against, for the record. Nonetheless, we banged out the opening moves pretty quickly. He plays c6, which is definitely a little bit more passive. It's booked. Like, there's nothing wrong with this, Slav. It's funny, c5 is a line. He can obviously play c3. He can just take, which is actually more of the open Catalan system, for the record, which I've also studied, but no one is playing these open positions against me. Whatever. Apparently bishop e6 here is a move, but I don't think anyone plays that, to be honest. All right, anyway, that's at least not a move that I've looked at. And so I decided to force the Catalan after he follows suit. Whoopsies, with c6. And I go g3. And like this is fine. This is just getting basically what's known as the closed Catalans, what I've been looking at. It's a little bit less strong when they have the pawn structure already. Ideally, they have the knight on c6, because then it's easier to attack. But there's like nothing wrong with this. He follows. We get a very symmetrical position. He's playing his moves very, very quickly. And in the opening, I'll show you where I started to think, but it wasn't here. This is, again, book. He follows suit, and the line here generally is castles. I did consider an early b3, but I just castle, which is considered very normal, and he castles back. And we still end up with, like, again, now we get into the Neo-Grunfeld. I've actually played the Neo-Grunfeld in another game, so I'm excited when I write down this in my spreadsheet, and I'll double check what happened in that one. And I think I won that one, actually. I think I liked playing against the Neo-Grunfeld, the classical line. Because I see this position, and I just know, like, this is pretty good. What's funny is, this is where I started to think, because we got the basic of, like, the opening of what I want, the structure, and, okay, follow with me, picture yourself on a boat on a river. Right, we're not going to be on LSD, but rather, I want my queen, generally on c2. I want my knight on d2 rather than c3. The reason why is, ideally, if he takes, I want to generally take back with the knight. I want to be able to play e4. I want my rook on e1. And ideally, I move my rook over to the c-file so that I'm not in jeopardy of his open bishop. And that's kind of where my pieces are in harmony, kind of like the ideal setup. So I start thinking, and I'm not sure, actually, the best order to do that. I start thinking about his ideas, and he's still in the opening, so I'm like, okay, what's he going to do? All right, this knight probably wants to slam on d7. In order to do that, he's probably going to have to develop his bishop. Does that mean I should play h3? Restrict it? No, because it's still pretty good on f5. I feel like that's a wasted move. He's castle. He's pretty safe. Where does he want his queen? I'm not sure. I don't think he's supposed to bump it to d6. Maybe there are moves like c5 with tempo. So I didn't think that there was a prophylactic move to, like, prevent him from developing. And I thought, maybe I should actually move my rook, because then it gives me the option of putting the bishop where I might want it, like, in an ideal spot. And I wasn't sure when it's correct to take. I didn't think it was correct to take here, because I thought that he had a lot of options as far as, like, taking with the knight or so. So anyway, I kind of chalked it all up. I decided to play rook e1. He asked me after the game, and he said, is that Siri? And I said, Sev, it's not. I said, I just know where my pieces are supposed to belong. I'm just not sure the order of getting them there. He's like, that's good. I know. It's good. Anyway, I'm not going to drop my German words, with shock. I think shock is chess. Maybe that's game. All right, well, it's been a while since I studied my German. Last I studied was in June, I think. It's been more than 6 months. Nonetheless, funny enough, I think I stopped studying German right before I started playing chess live. Not that I was, like, doing one for the other, but that is interesting. Anyway, now he does take, which is the best line. And when he took, after I played rook e1, I did the thing, because I did spend, like, 10 minutes at this point, and I did the thing, I was like, oh, shit. I knew I was supposed to take at some point. But then I started to think about it, and I know that the double pawns in the sort of the Catalan-type structure is not a problem. Basically, I want to get a4, and you can even give them 2 pawns, if they have, like, the 2 doubled, and white's actually still better in those positions. So I wasn't really that worried, and I knew I needed to attack it with my knight at some point, but again, I just wasn't sure at what point it is correct. However, the reason it's okay when they take is that enables e4. It's why I played the rook over, and I blitzed this out. After I did the 10-minute thing about rook e1, he played d takes c, I play e4, which is the best line, and I thought to myself, like, okay, like, this is a normal chess position. My king is safe. I have, it's somewhat symmetrical, but I own the center now. He's got the double c pawns, which will be a weakness for me to attack. Yes, he's technically up a pawn right now, but I was pretty sure I'd be able to win it back, and once you win it back, white is then better. So I was like, cool, I think the opening is going okay. And after the game, he said, like, yes, I did not think I got anything from the opening. And I said, yeah, I thought it was pretty equal or so. Also, I'm clearly not doing any justice to the way he spoke. His English was great, of course. But that's just my take on anyone who's German. And I need to get my very good German friend to watch this. I want to hear what Ben has to say about this. He'll maybe not appreciate. No, I think he'd appreciate it, actually. But all I know is he refuses to speak German with me because my German's too bad. So there you have it. All right. Once I play e4, again, objectively about the position, I know that these are all long-term ideas. The pawn sacrifice, or at least the gambit, is fine for a long time. And we just kind of go from here. Ideally, though, they haven't castled yet. This is the one downside of sort of the King's Indian structure, because I want to be able to swing, the ideas are like Queen A4 ideas, and there are some crazy lines of then shifting your rook to D1. Obviously, none of that is in the cards, so, we move on. He slammed, I told him after the game as well, that he took his piece, he slammed it on G4, and I said, Seb, you played it with such force, gusto, that I was worried I missed something. And he just chuckled. He's like, no. He's like, I just thought it was the best move. And I said, okay, because he had to, rearrange the piece. After he plays bishop to G4, I do play the best move, bishop B to D2, which is great. I was sighing because I knew that this wasn't ideal because I am blocking in my bishop. It's kind of a bad piece now. But I wanted to defend my knight. I wanted to attack the pawn. And I wasn't ready to play H3 to eject him yet. So I played it, and I thought I was fine. The whole time I'm doing all the pawn counts, and I'm like, okay, I'm defending everything. I own the center. This position can't be bad for me. He then strikes out with B5, which is kind of the idea in the position for him. He's really, when you study this, it's when they try to grip this pawn, for sure. Now, obviously, I can't take. And the common response is just A4. So I didn't actually think about this move. It is the best move. You also can play the H3 and eject. Obviously, if they run, you can trap the piece. They have to move it somewhere strange. And I told them that actually moving back to E6 is a line. In fact, that's what the computer suggests is the best line. And I told him that my friend Ryan hates when I put, as black, because I have done this as black, put the bishop there. But I do know it's fine. And we actually, he said that he was considering that if I ducked him back, if he would have to trade, and he was looking at the E6 square. He told me he would have traded if I bumped him here, which means actually maybe I should have done it. But anyway, I play A4. It's the common idea. We're still kind of in theory, where if he then takes, he'd be up 2 pawns, but white's actually better. So he doesn't take. He's a good player, and instead he now plays E6, which is a very passive move. Apparently the only move to maintain an advantage for black is to play A5. Which is interesting, actually. Basically trying to just argue that these pawns are strong, and the fact that I'm now opening up the position, because the whole key is if I take and he takes, I have these discoveries on the rook, and that's where the power of my opening comes from. That's what I'm playing for. That's the number one idea. And as soon as he plays E6, this is his first inaccuracy of the game, and I've got to say I like my position. I do another mini think here because I'm thinking about... The reason I didn't think this was good is now his bishop very much is stuck here, and he is 100% going to have to trade. He can never retreat it. So I know at any point I can play H3 and we can trade knights. I can't take with a bishop because then that would mean my pawn would be hanging, and I don't think that's good for me. I think that would be a good capture for my opponent. So I'm calculating either A takes and then he opens up for me, which I kind of like. I was calculating H3 here as well, and I wish I could say I was calculating E5, but I just didn't think it worked because they just slammed the knight on D5, which is what the computer recommends. And I thought that's good for black. Yeah, so maybe I made a slight mistake here in accuracy, according to the computer. I do play A takes B5. My thinking as well is I thought that he might have an annoying queen move if I didn't do this, and now I'm actually owning the file. Huh, they just give me a total miss here. That's harsh, I would say. They give me a miss. What's funny is a few moves after this, I actually did consider that this might be a mistake to take myself. Because I just thought takes, and I have all this pressure. It's it's got to be good for me. But apparently the computer wants me to play H3 first. Obviously he would trade, I would take with the knight. This kind of happens anyway, for the record. But I don't know why this is better. And then, let's say he plays bishop B, D7. Because if he's didn't play A5 before, he wouldn't play it here. And now, basically, they're arguing that A takes. So, we kind of arrived at this position anyway. So, I don't see the big deal. But, yeah, we kind of arrived at this position anyway. All right. Anyway, I go A takes, move 11. He goes C takes, of course. and it's kind of good. I'm trading an outside pawn for an inside pawn. I own a strong center, and his strength in the position is he's got these 3 pawns that potentially can be connected, and I only have 1 defender, so that is a problem, potential problem. Anyway, it's at this point I play the best move. I decide I need to get rid of this bishop because I want to move my queen. Again, in harmony, I want my piece here, and I want to be able to develop my bishop. So I bump it. He obviously can't go back anywhere else. He'd lose the piece, so he very quickly takes back. For the record, Sev was up on time with me for the first half of the game, and then I developed about a 10-minute time advantage. He did get to mini time trouble. I think he got down to about 10 minutes, and I got down to like 20 or 25 in this one. But I wouldn't say the clock was a particular threat for either of us. I did look at it a few times. There's going to be 2 slots where I do deep things, and I remember I kind of give myself a cutoff. Both times I was like, I'm going to think for 15 minutes, and if I don't find a better move, I'm going to go with it. And I'll highlight those 2, what I like to call critical moments. Anyway, he plays knight takes. I obviously have to go knight takes, which I do. And it's funny, the computer actually says his position is better here, and it surprises me because I felt comfortable. Well, he plays knight b to d7. He's trying to lock up these pieces, but he's giving me the clear path to maybe attack. All right, computer swings back. They kind of like white a little bit as well. And this is the first place I do the major thing. So here we go. So at this point, I think I'd use, maybe a minute a move, except for one part where I use like 10 minutes on move 7, where I wasn't sure where like the move sequence should be. So I've probably used 20-ish minutes at this point. And I spent 15 minutes in this move. I ducked below an hour. And again, we were close on time, but I've used slightly more time than him. And the reason why I'm tanking so long is I know that his problem are these pawns, and they're pretty advanced, that I need to split them up. So I was calculating all the b3 breaks. The computer's best move is e5. And I did look at e5, but I really thought e5, queen d5, and I just didn't really see what that got me, Like, I was calculating that. I kept thinking that the threat of pushing when I can expose, like open onto the rook, is stronger than actually doing it. So I did look at e5. I didn't look at h4, to be honest. Apparently the computer likes it, just super solid, but whatever. All right, so I'm letting you know. So I'm constantly calculating the e5 pushes. I saw knight d5, and I didn't really see a strong follow-up. So I spent a long time calculating b3. And why did I have to calculate b3? Well, I'll walk you through my steps. So for the record, I ended up playing b3, which I think is a pretty solid move. But the reason why is in this position, I had to calculate c3, I had to calculate b takes, and I had to calculate ignoring it altogether and, again, doing something. I don't know, like queen c7, for example, something like that. This is what I came up with. I thought that if he pushes, I had this very clever move of bringing. By the way, this is the line that's going to happen. He didn't see this, so I actually got a nice position. I saw a clever move where I could go bishop to a3, slightly attacking the rook, forces this move, and then I have a very clever bishop b4, which, by the way, is the best line. I'm very proud of myself. And the reason this move is so important, what I calculated out, is if he ever has the connected passed pawns, like again, like if he pushes c3, b4, white is screwed. White is in a lot of trouble. But if I have the bishop planted on b4, he doesn't have a defender for his pawn. And if I rally that up, if I win back the pawn that he's holding on to, I'll have a spatial advantage, I'll have the double bishops, and I still have the threat of like e5 opening up to his weak square. So basically white will be better, and I knew this. I had to also, again, just to let you know, and by the way, that is what ends up happening, I had to calculate takes. And I thought, all right, if he goes c takes b, I would go queen takes, which is what they like. And then I figured in this position, again, I was mentally picturing, all right, my queen here, this pawn's gone. I have some pressure. I thought he probably would have to play something like a6 to be passive, or maybe a5. And then finally I could actually get my dark square bishop into the game. I wanted to play it on e3. I can't do that now because then my e4 pawn hangs. But I also potentially could bring it out to g5 with the long-term pin on the queen. I could even just trade them as well at a certain point. And I thought that if I bring my other rook behind, basically like push e5, I would corral another pawn. And I thought if I was basically trading my b pawn for these 2 pawns, and if it was just an isolated pawn on the side with my pieces kind of closer, again, I thought that I'd be better. So I calculated that. And then I calculated if I push here and he just ignores, again, plays the queen to like c7, what my best course of action is. And I thought it would be to take. I thought I would break up his pawns. I would take. I don't think that he would go like queen recapture. I think he would take, and then he would end up with basically the split pawns, which are no longer as strong because they're not connected. And I wouldn't worry about them like making a queen at the end. So I spent 15 minutes. I looked at all the variations. I was pretty happy with it, and that's actually why I'm surprised. I'm surprised b3 is not the best move, but that's fine. I mean, it's up there. It's not a bad move. Again, I did look at e5, and which is the best move. I guess because the computer says that white doesn't really have anything, and I just saw knight d5, and I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do in this position. Like I'm gonna be honest. They want me to like play the knight out anyway, just to open up, open the door. But I don't see it. Like I don't get it. I do this. He bumps me with h6, and then I reroute to like e4. What am I threatening this square? Maybe. I mean, I guess maybe I open the door to like f4 ideas. Here they're even suggesting. Okay, let's make a move for my opponent. Queen b6. They're suggesting like knight. I guess what they're saying is here I can jump the knight. I can get a nice outpost on d6. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't look this deeply, of course. I looked at e5, knight d5, and I was looking at this position here. And I didn't see... I did see I could go knight g5, but I thought once he plays h6, I didn't see this plan of rerouting like that. I just thought I'd go back to f3, and I just wasn't really sure what I accomplished. So, for the record, I saw this. And and this just has me -1. So I looked at this position. I just didn't think this was good for me. So, and it's not, but I didn't see this plan, I guess, of going over here. But whatever. All right. Nonetheless, I do play b3. So I play b3. He thinks for a while. He plays c3, and I think, okay. I mean, my plan seems clear cut. It's the only plan that works. Although it looks like e5 still is pretty good here. I go ahead with my calculations. I play bishop a3. His move I thought was forced. Wow, it's not. Apparently he can just play like a5 here and just give up the exchange. Holy shit, look at computers. I thought rook e8 was forced, which is the third best move. The computer wants to sack the exchange here and play queen c7. How insane is that? I guess because then he would get these connected pawns. Wow. For the record, I didn't consider him sacrificing the exchange, but now that I see it on the machine, I think that's interesting. He doesn't do it though. He maintains his material, which is kind of like the human move. And I slam bishop e4, and I'm very proud of myself for this move. I think that this is an excellent move. It is the best move in the position, and as he said in our recap, and I agreed, white's better. I am going to win this pawn. It will fall. Once it falls, I have the double bishops. I have the space advantage. I have the center pawns, yeah, he's got the connected outside pawns. I still have my b pawn though. But I would also own the files. So I don't know. I mean, plus half a pawn, I think that's probably pretty fair for white. So again, I was like pretty happy with myself. I didn't waste that much time. I'm down a little bit more than an hour. I'm playing against a guy who I think is, almost for sure considerably better than me. Again, but I don't think he's so much better than me that I can't win the game. That's the thing. So, I wanted to play with aggression, play with style, play with panache, and just see what happens. Anyway, he plays queen c7, and it's interesting because I didn't think this was a good move as well. And when he played this, I was like, what am I missing? And I thought I was overwhelmed with possible good moves. I saw I could go bishop a5, which is what the computer suggests, basically saying his move doesn't make any sense. I saw I could slide my rook to c1, which is what I played, by the way, obviously opening up on the file. And I also saw centralize my queen, which is another move I ended up playing, by the way, so I'm not lying. I really thought that these were the three moves. And I thought that all of these three moves were good, and I just wasn't sure what was best, I didn't want to spend forever. And the reason why I played rook to c1 is I thought that he wasn't ever infiltrating on the a file. Like, if I didn't have my bishop here, then maybe he would, snaggle it on in. And I thought I was covering all the squares. So if I put my rook here, I'm threatening just take with tempo. And I thought that was really strong. It also just looks like a natural move to me, to be honest, even though I did want to centralize my queen as well. All right, they give me an excellent. I feel pretty good. My opponent plays queen to b7, and it's funny, after the game, like, it's an excellent move. I mean, good for my opponent. We both laughed because I said like there's like visually this looks like a terrible move. And why does it look like a terrible move? He's literally setting up the skewer for the whole thing I'm gunning down. Like he's giving me a clear target. And it's a pretty good move though. Bishop Queen B7. It's one of the candidate moves by the computer. They like Queen B6 better, which I also think is a better move. But it's interesting. It's not a bad move. He told me that he was basically gunning down and looking to take on the E4, which I think is kind of wild. Again, just opening the door to this skewer. In any event, he plays the move, and I'm up a bit on time at this point because he's now spent a little bit more time, or at least we're like equal. We're 17 moves in. I breathed a sigh of relief because I thought like I'm holding my own. I'm doing pretty well. Like I'm gonna win the C pawn, and once I do, the position is equal material. But I thought my position was slightly better. So I felt very proud of myself. So the big decision here, after he plays Queen B7, was whether I should take immediately or centralize my queen first. I ended up going Queen to D3, which is a move they recommended here. They like Queen D3 here. And the reason why I played the Queen here is I thought that if I took with the Rook, and maybe this is wrong, maybe I saw a tactic that wasn't actually there. For the record, so I do play Queen D3. Basically just holding everything together. I can always take whenever I want. But I thought that if I took... Okay, this is what I say. I thought if I took with a rook, I thought he might have knight takes on E4. Well, I didn't see this. Oh, I should have seen it, though. Oh, because at the end of the line, because after I take and he takes, I then have knight takes on D7. Okay, well I didn't see that far. I saw if he takes here, I thought if I take, he takes, I'm like down the exchange. I guess the skewer to win back, but I thought I was down a pawn there. Just to show you what I saw in my mind. Here, let's say I do something like this. Yeah. Yeah. I thought this was working for him, the tactic. Honestly, hard tactic to find, but I was worried about if I go rook takes. I thought knight takes E4 worked. Now it doesn't, because I can go rook takes, but I didn't see that deeply. I'm gonna say, I know this is my weakness tactics, but I feel like this is tough to find. This is really tough to find. I think he also has this move at this point. I was also worried about this move, for the record. Like if I didn't play D3, I was worried about rook takes, and rather than this, I also was worried about A5 here. And I thought that, like obviously if I go back, he then has B4, winning, material. I did see that. So I saw A5, and I thought that I have to move it somewhere silly, like D6. I thought it was very loosening. And then what does the computer recommend? The computer likes this position still. I don't know, I thought it was kind of getting out of play. Something like this, like B4. Okay, I didn't see that. And I can play C7, rook C7 there, and then obviously this will go to B5. And white is definitely better here. Well, I didn't see that either. Again, I saw the fork idea if I took a certain way, but that actually. So anyway, the point is that explains why I ended up going Queen D3, because now his attacks here don't work, and I can just comfortably take with the bishop. And this is still a fine move, but that's why I didn't take it. It's funny. I thought the tactics again. I just don't see the tactics that deeply. I see like the basic idea, but I don't see beyond that. I did spend some time on this move though, for the record. All right. Nonetheless, I played Queen D3. I thought this was a good positional move as well. I'm centralizing. I'm defending, and I thought there was no rush to take this pawn. It's always falling. So I don't know. This move isn't that much worse. I'm fine with it. He now forces A5. I thought this was pretty clear cut. I played my move immediately. It made sense. I took on C3. And, here we go. when I played on, bishop takes on c3, I have one back to pawn. My space is pretty good with the center. I have the skewer ideas still. And, I have, like, the open file. Everything seemed positionally that white was better. I was feeling really proud of myself, I was playing a good game so far. He plays the best move. He plays... God, my pen is not working. I wrote the move as a3, but that's not possible. He plays a4. And it's a strong move. And when he played this is where I go deep into the tank, my friends. I spent another 15 minutes on this move, because it seems like a really important move of the position. Number one, I think to myself, I probably need to take, because if I can open up the position, if I can clarify like these pawns, then it's good for the fact that I've got the double bishops. Trying to open up, like, basically the fewer pawns on the board, the stronger my bishop pair is going to be. So I thought, okay, that's an argument for taking. I then thought, what if I don't take? And I was looking at this move. Oh, God damn it! My first impulse was knight d2, and I talked myself out of it. I thought if I went knight d2, I thought he would just... I thought if he took, I could take. But he'd have this move b4. Alright, so hear me out. I thought if I went knight d2, he'd have b4. I would have to slide my bishop to a1. And then I saw a3. And I saw that he'd have these connected pawns that were really advanced, with his bishop still alive, kind of controlling or at least threatening the queening square. The reason why I liked knight to d2 is I wanted to play f4, with the idea of, again, opening up the position. And potential ideas I saw was very slow, but I was looking at a g4, g5 idea, because once I remove his knight, he can't jump it to e5, then it lets me play e5 myself. I can't jump it to d5. So I was analyzing that. And I thought knight d2 was the first step. Anyway, I then analyzed, well, what if I just take first? Like, can I just take first? And if I take... He takes, okay, it's the same position, but it's only one pawn to worry about. They're not connected. Maybe that's better for me. And I thought I still had this idea of knight d2. And then, when I default wanted to play d2, knight d2, and then I wanted to play b takes a4, I thought I had a crazy idea. And I thought, what about playing d5 in this position? And what I saw was d5, and if he takes, I have e5 ideas, again, bumping his knight out of there, opening up onto his queen. Maybe. However, what I didn't see is he has this move, because once I've dislodged my pawn, he has knight c5 attacking my queen, and then I saw maybe I'd have ideas like queen d4, setting up the battery, the checkmate threat. Alright? Needless to say, there was a lot of calculation going where I thought I got very excited about d5, that it might be a brilliant move. I made all those calculations, and I thought, wait, if I play d5, he doesn't have to take, which I thought would have been losing. Obviously, he doesn't want to take with the knight, I just lose material. I thought he then has b4, and I have to retreat my bishop. My move doesn't work anymore. Basically, he bumps my bishop, dislodges it, and I would have just wasted a d5 push. And I think, okay, maybe d5 works if I take. So after talking myself into a circle, I then decide I need to go b takes a4, because I'm opening up the position, I'm getting rid of a threat, and maybe, if this file is open, I have ideas of sliding cb1, rook cb1. So I played b takes a4, and this was clearly a key decision of the game, and according to the computer, I made a mistake. By the way, I told him after the game that I was a little bit worried about rook takes. Pawn takes is better, but there was just a lot of calculation. It was very complicated. I wasn't sure what was... I just wasn't sure what was better. He told me he thought that he had to take, so he's like one square closer to queening, So anyway, I go b takes, and apparently I should have gone knight d2. I was worried... I mean, it's funny. I was worried about b4, which is not the best move for the computer. I was worried about b4. I was going to play bishop a1, and then I was worried about a3. I was worried about this. I thought that he'd have these connected pawns, and my bishop is sort of in jail. And this didn't look that good to me. But it is the best move. It's my first instinct, for the record. But I talked myself out of this. They like, rook e... They look ed1. Wish I could say why. knight c4. That's a move I'd be able to find pretty comfortably. Basically getting it to a strong outpost. And then they like activating his bishop with like bishop f8. All right. Well, this would be an interesting position, and that's not what happened. But would have maybe enjoyed the game more had we done that. Anyway, I play b takes. He then follows suit with b takes on a4 as well. This is move 20. B takes a4. And we reach this position. And, you know, it's funny. It's now back to parity, and I start thinking, calculating, recalculating the d5 ideas. And as I told Sev, I kind of see an idea and I kind of fall in love with it. And the reason why I thought this was so strong is, again, I wanted to take advantage of the fact that I could skewer him. That his queen is definitely out of, like, not on a good square on b7. I looked at, again, e5 pushes. I just didn't like it. I thought he slams the knight on d5. It's very active. I looked at rook b1, but to be completely honest, I didn't think I should play it here because I thought his queen was on a bad square. I didn't want to give him a chance to put it on a better one, like moving it to a6 and just pushing the pawn. So I didn't think it was correct to like check the queen. I know that in the past I've been making a lot of mistakes with like doubling my rooks. I wasn't sure how I wanted to double them. I did consider it as well. I did not consider playing bishop a1, I'm going to be honest. I looked at this idea. I still like the idea of knight to d2, kind of opening up the bishop that way, being able to swing it. But I didn't like swing it now at this moment, and I didn't think it made as much sense. Nonetheless to say, I did a lot of calculations, and I played d5. And after the game, he told me that he was like shocked that I played d5. For the record, the computer has it as still a good move. Like it's my best move would have been like minus 0.2, and I played a move that's minus 0.3. You know what I mean, or something like that, or so it's still a good move. And he told me after the game, he said that this move shocked him, that he thought that this move loses, but then he couldn't find the win. And it's because I thought that it was winning for me. I thought takes and then e5, but yeah. All right, well, nonetheless, you guys will see what happens. So I calculated this out. I thought takes e5, and then I saw, oh, maybe I need to trade first. I kind of talked myself out of it. You'll see what happens. So I play e takes. He spends 20 minutes in this position. Again, at this point, finally, I'm ahead on time. I'm down to like 45 minutes, 50 minutes. He got down to like 40 or 35 minutes because this is the critical moment of the game. He thought for so long because after the game, he was like, you know, I thought that this move was just losing. Like, you know, how can you play d5 in this position? He's like, but the more I thought about it, the more I just didn't see anything. I didn't have anything. And I said, I thought that this was winning, but then I saw some ideas that he does have. So it gets very tactical, very, very complex. You know, it was a very complex game. I played d5. After a 20-minute think, he finally plays e takes. It is the best move. And I go into a long think because originally I was planning on playing e5, which is not, it's one of the better moves, but not a good move. And then I realized it didn't quite work. So I had to play the second best move. I thought I had to take. I thought if I take, he just takes back, and I thought that I'm just down a pawn. Yes, I maybe can open up onto his rook, but it's not as strong. I do a few more calculations at this point. After e takes d5, and I decide that this is a move that's very scary. Knight to c5. If I play e5, so I thought I need to trade the bishop and then push it. So that's what happens. I take, bishop takes on f6, and as soon as I take, he plays a move that I considered only after I played the move. And I've done this too many times now to count. But, Again, I thought that he was going to take back. But instead, he plays d takes e4. And holy shit, this is where fireworks happen. So, by the way, just to show you my calculation, what I thought was going to happen is I thought he was going to go b takes f6. Then I was going to play e5. This is kind of what I saw. He would play back. And then from here, I thought that, yes, I could check the queen. That's the best line. But I thought I was basically getting my knight into the game. Obviously, I have these threats. I thought I'd win back the pawn, and perhaps with the skewer. And that's what I saw. This is the position that I saw, for the record. Knight takes. Queen takes. Queen takes. Bishop takes. And the computer says this isn't good for me. This is -1. I thought that this is This is as far as I could see. Again, not so much that I'm threatening it directly, but I thought I'd have, rook to c7, and I'm getting all my pieces like a strong attack. Like, this is what I saw anyway. I thought this was good. You know what I mean? Where I'm just attacking everything. But like, my pieces are are in harmony, you know? But maybe, because I also have ideas of f4, dislodging the knight. Yeah. Alright, well, whatever. This is what I saw. He doesn't do that, though. You know, that only works if he goes takes. He plays pawn takes. And while he was thinking, again, like 20 minutes, I then had to calculate on his time what was going to happen. And I saw I have knight d2, and then if he takes, I take. And it was an interesting position. I saw that if I play knight d2 and he doesn't take, like if he takes knight takes on bishop, I saw I have knight takes pawn. And I'm threatening the same stuff, the check, and then opening up to win the exchange. I saw that if he has these other random moves, they don't work. I literally, if he goes, knight e5, I just take bishop e5. If he goes knight c5, I just take. And I'm still threatening the same thing. It's pinned. And that's what I was going for. Like, that's the heavy tactics that are going on in this game. Nonetheless, he thinks for a, sorry, that's on his time. I knew I had to play knight d2, which is the best move. And, and we start, I start calculating on his time. I thought if he plays knight takes, I'm supposed to go knight takes, yep. And if he plays e takes, I take. And I thought all these other moves lose. This doesn't work, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. I did look at this, potentially. He said that there was the few things that he was looking at there. And, so I really tried to analyze this deeply. Nonetheless, he spends a long time, and he ends up taking. And once he plays e takes d3, I kind of sigh and say, all right, I calculated it as best as I can. I'm winning the exchange. Hopefully this means I'm winning. Unfortunately, in these lines, when I was calculating on his time, I thought I was going to win the d3 pawn, so I'd have the exchange for, I'd also be down a pawn. I ended up down 2 pawns, and as I said after the game, I think that means black was a little bit better. So I take here. He then plays bishop takes on f6. I obviously take the exchange, because what the hell else am I supposed to do? He recaptures, and we arrive at this position, move 25. And it's very, very complicated. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. But I've got 2 rooks. He only has 1. So it's I have the exchange, but he's got 2 pawns, and they're very, very pushed. And he's controlling the a1 square. And as I said in the recap, I think that he was better here. And he's like, yeah, I think I was better too. He said then the line that he calculated that if he lost this pawn, he didn't think he'd be better, if I corralled it or so. Because we calculated a few of these. Again, I thought that if he took here, I would take here, takes, I was going to go bishop takes. He said he thought he had this move. I didn't see this far, that's for sure. But it looks like we get a bishops of opposite where he's up a pawn. So he's like, potentially winning here. But it's bishops of opposite where I have very strong drawing chances. Okay, interesting. Anyway, we arrive at this position. I have plenty of time, but not all the time in the world. And I'm just I have no idea what's going on. Hopefully I'm better, but I don't really know if I'm better. It's funny in the recap, when we chatted, he's like, I'm not sure what was going on, but I hope that I was better. Anyway, the first move, I do play the best move according to the computer. I thought I need to win the d3 pawn. Obviously, if I take it, I'm then attacking his knight. So I move rook e3, and I thought that if I win this pawn, I am better. I realized that there might be a circumstance where I'd have to sack a piece for the pawn. But I thought that with the 2 rooks against the rook and the 2 pieces with equal pawns, that I could probably hold it, I thought. But it's kind of crazy, He plays bishop b2. And, it looks like I make a big blunder. My first reaction was to play rook ce1. with the idea of trying to trade off. Yeah, that's what they like. Trade off the rooks, because then I can get behind this pawn. And unfortunately, I missed the move. And I guess this is where I blunder the game away. Too bad, because it would have been pretty good if I went CE1. He thought I should have played Rook C7. But that's the second best move, but it's losing. I looked at that briefly, and I forget why I didn't like it. Apparently he can play Knight E5. I guess breaking up my... Oh, yeah, I calculated this. He could break up me connecting the doubled rooks, and I thought that I'd have this clever move F4, but that's not so clever, because then I saw he has bishop to D4, pinning the rook to my king, and I would be lost. So I actually did see that. I thought I needed to play rook D1, and then once I moved the rook, I could basically win the pawn. But, unfortunately, I miss his next move, which is just a great move. And I guess the game is over at this point. So, as they say, sayonara. Alright, so 27. Knight C5. He plays Knight C5, which is the best move. He finds it, and I didn't see this, a few moves ago. And when he plays the best move, I know I'm screwed. Because I'm not winning this pawn, and this is really, really fast. So, I try to just, bail out as much as I can. I try my best. I play Knight C4, which is the best move. Hoping that he misses it by, not pushing the pawn. There are other moves that are good. I did think Bishop D4 was equally good. That's where I thought he was going to go. But he thinks for not that long. He does get below the 20-minute mark. He plays A3. I realize I need to trade, but I'm probably losing. But that's why we play it out. I trade. I didn't see how I could do anything but. Obviously, he takes back. And I thought that if he slams his rook down, I have the two rooks. And unfortunately, I missed his follow-up. He has a nice finish to finish the game. Spoiler alert, although you're 45 minutes in, I'm sure you all can guess this. I end up losing. He plays after Knight C4, A3, Knight takes on B2, A takes on B2, I play Rook B1, I have to. Well, I guess I don't have to, but, I basically have to. He plays Rook A1, which is, winning, of course. I play Rook C3 to 1, or E3 to 1, excuse me. My C's and my E's all look alike. He plays Knight B3, which is the best move. Now I can't actually take, because he's just winning. I realize I don't have these moves of moving my king in, because then he's got these forks, and I'm just lost. So I've got a big problem there, Well, big problem. The game is over, just to be very clear. But I play F4. The idea here is I thought maybe if I can run my king in, I could sacrifice and basically win this pawn and I don't know, maybe hold that, probably not. But I thought that was my only chance. He plays D2, and I play Rook E to D1, of course. He tanks for 10 minutes. He's got, he goes down to single-digit time. I saw the win, unfortunately. I saw if he trades, and then moves the knight here. This pawn is unstoppable. And he finds it. Doesn't, it took him a little while to find it, actually. Maybe he's rusty, but he plays, Rook takes on B1. I have to play Rook takes on B1. And then he plays Knight to C1. And I then resign the game. So I resign from this position. The reason why is I can maybe win a pawn, but then he queens. This is unstoppable. So, yeah, there's not really much I can do. It's just over. It's over for the hero. So that was my game against Severin König. I think I played pretty well. I played creatively. I played aggressively. There are a few tactical ideas. We got kind of a confusing endgame. I wish I'd spent a little bit more time on this rook move, because if I found rook to E1, where was it? When I played rook to D1. Yeah, if I play the right move here, rook CE1, maybe I am drawing. He plays A3. I was worried about this pawn just being fast. I saw I could get around, trade, check, G7, and then I get behind the pawn. C1. If I go B3. Maybe this is quite good. I'm just playing out some of these moves because I'm kind of curious. D5. Do I not take? Why can I not take here? Oh, because then he goes d2 and it's just unstoppable. God damn. Oh, tricky moves, tricky moves. So what the hell would I even do here? I would probably play the king into f1. And you can play the b4. Play the a4. This is confusing as hell, man. Then he gets the knight in here defending the pawn. Oh, dear. The only move that holds it is knight c3. I wish I found some of these moves, you know? I feel like you can play this. Oh, and then I can play e2. All right, interesting. All right, well, nonetheless, then I guess I'd be drawing here. All right, well, that didn't happen. Let's do the review. Let's see how your hero did, and then let's save this game. We'll save it under the... What? Why is it not saving? Add to game collection. Here we go. All right, Boylston Chess Club, November Swiss. There we go. Let's do a game review. I lost this game. It's never great to lose. I did play at nearly 85% accuracy. I mean, my opponent, I mean, he's like 1900 USCF. Like, he's an 1800 at FIDE player. He played 93% accuracy, 93.2. That's not the best an opponent has played against me, but it's one of the best. I think somebody played at 95, another person played at like a 94. But in my 40 or 40 some odd games, this is like the third best an opponent has played against me. And the truth is, I feel like I had my chances. I feel like the opening went pretty well. I had like a decent positional advantage. I kind of huffed it away in what I thought was tactical line, but it was still very complicated. And if I found a better defense, then maybe I would have drawn this. So, I don't know. This guy is just, I mean, I feel like I played decently. I put up a fight. It was an interesting game. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. He played 93% accuracy. The guy is really good at chess, you know. The guy is clearly better than me at chess, and I think I played pretty well. So it is what it is. I guess at the very late game, you know, I kind of scooted the boot. If I found the right rook move, then maybe I would have drawn, actually. Hey, how crazy would that have been? My opponent just played a very strong game. I'm not going to beat myself up. I've said in the past that if I played an 85% accuracy, even if I lose, I feel pretty good about it because it just means my opponent played very well. I mean, if you round up 84.5, then I played an 85% accuracy, but I played close enough where, I mean, let's face it, I came into this game not expecting to win. I just didn't want to play a boring game where I like just try to eke out a draw, which is kind of what I've done against, you know, players that I think are probably better than me. And I don't think I did that. So, you know, there we go. I hope that I can continue to improve and get better. I did like my opening choice. Yeah, next week, unfortunately, I'm at half a point, which is not a good start. It also is a shame that he's unrated. Where is he? Severin König. I mean, he's 1901. But, you know, they punish me with, like, a bunch of points anyway. Like, give me a break. The guy I played... Oh, wow. Nathan Drew again against this guy, Eric Vickers. Curious. 2 draws for Nathan Jones. Maybe he just makes a lot of draws. Maybe it's not me that makes a lot of draws. Maybe it's him that makes a lot of draws. You know? Never know. I'll look at how people did. Let me just sneak peek for the pairing. Looks like round 3, I play Arya. Awesome. I've played Arya before. I played him once before. Nice guy. He's actually the only guy in the chess club that's actually my chess.com friend. No, I think I've got 2 or 3 people that are from the club on chess.com. And it's funny because Arya is slightly lower than me in all 3. Like, Rapid, he's like 50 to 100 points lower. Blitz, he's like 50 to 100 points lower. Bull, he's 50 to 100 points lower. And I've played him before. Really nice guy. That this is the type of matchup where I know I'm slightly better than him. You know what I mean? Where, like, when we play, anything can happen, but I do know I'm a little bit better than him. And that's kind of a good feeling. I'm going to be black. I'm going to try to get a win. Good luck to Severin in the next round. I don't know these players. Good luck to them, too, I suppose. They're undefeated. We'll go from here. All right, I'm going to end the video here. Have a good night. Or a good day, you know, whichever.